Everyone's pretty pumped, doing awesome stuff.
It'll be a long
Writing on
weekend.
papers. Okay. What'd you say?
It'll be a long weekend. Most of us will be writing on quite a bit of it.
Good times. Good times. All right. So for our last topic, let's talk about granular matter. And so let's talk about different scales of systems to model. We have nanoscopic systems, right, and even smaller. This is where you would do atom-based simulations, okay? So people in Isaac's lab. We have microscopic, and then we have macroscopic. Okay, and this course has been really concerned with this region here: large microscopic, large nanoscopic, small microscopic. Okay, a lot of the stuff that we've been modeling. We've also had some stuff way out here when we just start to model zombies and people, things like that. Okay, but usually when we've been talking about physical particles, it's been somewhere in this scale. Okay, now granular matter is a collection of particles interacting particles. Okay, so in many ways it bears a resemblance to the systems we've been studying with molecular dynamics, molecular dynamics, Brownian dynamics, Monte Carlo. Okay, but there's a difference. The difference is that we're now in this region. So who cares? I just move from here, here, still have a bunch of interacting particles, right? Can I just do what I've been doing the whole way through? Yes, no, maybe? Any opinions? Does the scale matter?
Well, it'll change your direction. That's fair.
Okay, but presumably we can just scale those?
Well, like LJ is based on functional effects. Whatever. So like functional formulas.
Yeah. But still going to be hard particles, right? So maybe we don't have that attractive minimum, but we still have a repulsive thing just to make sure that.
Macroscopic particles might not be spherical. Might not be appropriate.
Sure. Sure. So now we can have, because these are made up of much smaller particles, right? So we could have, you know.
So are we saying that granular matter doesn't exist in the region we've looked at? Is that so? The small scale is interacting particles, and the large scale is granular matter.
So yes, because granular matter, we're going to talk about when people say granular matter, what they mean. Okay. And so we can have particles and have complex shapes. But when has a complex shape ever stopped? Spherical cavity. That is not a problem. Okay? Well, it is and it isn't. Come back to that. But what else changes the scale?
You have to have like random.
Yeah, diffusion becomes way less important. In fact, diffusion becomes negligible. Cool. That's a big difference. Anything else?
diffusion is negligible, then inertia starts becoming more important. The larger you go, but I don't necessarily know if this
that's
is still in a small enough scale that it's.
Well, that's a good point. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that for now. That's very good. Okay. Not overdamped.
So kind of along the same lines, we might switch from linear drag to quadratic drag at a certain point.
Yep. Anything else? Diffusion isn't important. You can neglect it. But what's something we've been neglecting up till now that all of a sudden may be really important?
Internal energy?
Yeah.
Concentration gradients?
We haven't been neglecting those.
No, like,
Boltzmann.
yeah. I suppose. Yeah.
Long-term forces? Or long-term?
We haven't necessarily been, we've been neglecting those, but not
Yeah.
just because they don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
But we're lazy now because they're important.
Gravity?
Yeah. Gravity. Right? In really small particles, fusion dominates. Gravity is super, super weak. Okay? You have larger particles, as gravity increases, fusion suppressed, all of a sudden, gravity really matters. You have a bunch of gas molecules in this room, okay? They don't all sit at the bottom. When you have a bunch of rocks in this room, they all sit at the bottom. Okay? Anything else? Is there any other kind of force that we may now have to take into account? We have hints of it up there.
Some kind of friction other than drag?
Yeah. Okay. Friction forces between the particles. If we have these complex composite particles that can have arbitrary complicated shapes, having them as these smooth spheres that always smoothly pass each other, probably not a very good model. Okay. Okay.
Are we talking about like on like a cellular scale, or people, or planets, or does it even matter? When we say granular matter?
It's usually on the order of people. So can anyone suggest what we might be, what kind of system we might be considering?
Crowd?
Hmm?
Crowd?
Sand. Sand is one of the classic. Okay. Sand flowing through an hourglass is a granular matter. I mentioned that to Isaac. I'll tell you about his first paper. Okay. Granular matter. Any others?
So, you know that piles of rocks or pebbles or whatever flow of the The liquid would probably not be granular, but the medium.
That's more flow through, of course. But we do have flows of rocks also,
Oh yeah, like that.
right? We have avalanches, landslides. Or let's just say we have a rock crushing plants. And we have a big chute that chunks of rock flow down. That's a granular matter problem. Okay? So there's a lot of industrial applications for granular matter. Hoppers. Things going through hoppers. Farm equipment, right? When you have a big grain thing and you want the grain to come out the bottom, granular matter system. Cool. So you have little grains of things you can treat as particles, but now they're microscopic particles. That's what I mean by microscopic. Cool.
It would be a granular problem. It's just a horrible fun. I'm sorry. Farm equipment would be a granular problem. It's just such a bad joke.
Lose 5% off your fund. Okay.
I'll apply to Durham College.
So let's see what we mean, okay? So if I were to take espresso, and I were to write a simulation code, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a bunch of interacting particles, type 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a kind of hopper. Okay? And so I'm going to build a bunch of particles. It's going to be a 2D system. The hopper is made out of particles. Okay? And then I'm just going to start with rows of particles up here. Something like this. Okay? And then t equals 0. I'm going to let these guys go. I'm going to totally suppress diffusion. I can set the temperature equals 0. Okay? I can implement gravity because I can just have an f equals y equals some negative amount. Okay? Negative c, whatever. All right? And then I'm going to have a surface underneath. And what we want to know is if we have a bunch of particles here, loading them to a hopper and then falling down, what is the distribution of particles at the bottom? And we're just going to take a 2D slice. Cool? Okay. So this I'm going to build out of particles, because it would be a pain in the ass to build constraints. Actually, it won't be that bad. So I'm going to build that out of particles. These are just going to be smooth particles interacting via WCA. And this is just going to be a smooth mathematical wall on the bottom, not built out. Well, and let's see what happens. So this is my simulation of granular matter. Hey, don't worry about this nanopore up there. It's already different simulation, obviously. Not what I want to show you. Giving away the surprise. What I want to show you.
Very small.
Yes, it is, for a reason. And there's a wall down here. You can't see it because it's constrained. Walls are too big. Okay? It's very neat.
That's really cool.
So we're pretty proud of ourselves, right? Got a sweet granular simulation going.
Yeah, we did a thing.
Granular even. Now what's happening?
Yeah, it's coming to the ground.
Gravity's still kind of pulling on them, so they're just.
Exactly. As long as there's any particles on top of each other, there's a downward force. There is no horizontal force that can get rid of that. There's no friction. Okay, so this ground state, as Amber said, is just one line. Okay, not a very good granular simulation. Okay.
Oh, that's promising.
Yeah, well, what can we do to fix it? How can we get friction on the bottom? We can implement a friction force, right? We can calculate the normal force. We can apply friction force opposing the motion, right?
You write this in C?
Or this is just an espresso.
Okay, so can we do those things in Espresso?
We go into the source code.
Can you say move it this way? Force that way.
You can do that. It's only going to work with this geometry.
Yeah.
So I'd have to implement something more. Okay. Is there anything else I can do though? I don't want to do that. That's
Well, with this espresso, is there like any package that you use that says, okay, I will mask this, and then I'm going to say that it's from the bottom of the coefficient.
Nope.
Okay, with that,
expressive.
okay.
Oh, make a bump.
Yeah. Okay.
Got a part.
Yeah, make it out of particle. Let's not use a smooth wall at the bottom, let's put it on a particle. That's where friction comes from. Cool. Let's see what happens. So here's my wall. If I look at this code, I've commented out my wall, and instead, somewhere down here, these are my two angles. Yeah, here I'm just laying down a row of particles. Cool. Okay. You know what? That's more to scale. Okay. Now let's see what happens. They come down the hopper. It looks pretty cool.
The reason the gap is wider.
No, we can change that in a minute. Okay, but we're more concentrated on what's happening down here for now. Gotta push over.
Nice.
Yep. Sweet. Cool, eh? Okay. Friction is totally important. Okay.
You said this is where friction comes from, but can we really hope to model the right number of particles to get like a true friction?
No, but you can change the geometry to change the amount of friction, the effective friction coefficient, right? Bigger bumps, smaller bumps.
So does it match up?
Mm-hmm. I haven't done it. There's better ways of doing it. Okay, so let's go back to the script and let me find. Oh. Orbit. One. This code. 5. So let's set the 4 width equal to 1 here. I have a question for you guys. Let's watch what happens at this nozzle here. Here comes the particle.
Oh, nice.
Any comments on that?
I think it might get stuck.
Pardon me?
Well, they may not necessarily
Because
We have any diffusion.
No.
they're kind of alternating because our things are both. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Does that look good or bad or neutral?
not, isn't the middle falls to the first side of the edge or higher?
Yeah, we don't have enough particles to really study that the way we're loading it.
So I think it's fine that they're alternating because the orbit's only one, so they have to, like when one goes, the next one's going to go. Is there something?
So if you're not
It's more fundamental. Should anything be going into that?
They come to it at the same time. We should.
Yeah, so they could get jammed.
Yeah, if there's any kind of friction between these particles, it's probably going to get jammed. It's a very narrow step. You get these particles coming, and there's friction between them. Okay. Thing is, we have these perfectly round, smooth particles. One of them will always be a little bit lower that can squeeze. Okay, we cannot get jammed. How can we get jammed?
We would have to make the particles bumpy.
How can we make the particles bumpy?
Make particles into particles.
Yes. Make particles out of particles. Okay. Again, we could have a friction force between particles, but we're too lazy to do that, so let's make them out of particles. How can we make particles out of particles? Any suggestions? I don't want these anymore. What do I want?
Blobs of multiple,
Blobs would be blobs.
No, you can do
like one in the middle surrounded by
Yeah, in the middle
a bunch.
Do you even need one in the middle?
That's what I was saying.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we can do bonds here and here and here. We can do angle bonds here and here and here. Cool.
We didn't listen, but this is one reason people are going to get a pretty.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Can you make ellipses and
No. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Kind of. You can make cigar shaped type objects. So a little bit deeper potential. Cool. So let's do exactly that. So I'm going to replace my single particles with this code here, and we've seen this kind of stuff before when we built composite objects. Cool. Here's my stiffness bonds. I'm going to put stiffness across them, and then I'm going to make all the angles 90. Cool. All right, let's see what that looks like. It's going to be slower, obviously. There's all my little cross particles.
Oh, they got more objects.
The bonds are what kind of bond? Such particle.
Inside the particle,
Like holding the cross together.
I have, well, these are all bonded together to the central one,
With what?
like a DWCA.
So could we do it faster if we made it a fixed length bond?
No, it actually doesn't.
Oh.
And then this is stiffness, stiffness, and then 90 degrees. Cool. Let's look at what's happening at the stub first.
Well, I get these.
Just temporary change. Yeah, and you can see neat things happening when it goes to these temporary jams. So,
Oh. Nice.
Not enough force. Cool, hey? Let's demonstrate some of the key things about granular matter. Okay? We can watch for the rest of the class.
Didn't have much else planned.
You're not much other than. That's good. Yeah. Also need, of course, to look down here. They're still doing stuff. Actually, takes a while for these to come to the equilibrium.
Well, actually, they seem to be less susceptible to the friction.
I think it's just because they're bigger, so the your particles look more like a smooth wall compared to their size.
Lining up very nice.
But it will stop
That's the issue.
eventually. Left hand side of it. That's it. There's your distribution. Cool beans.
Would the angle of the hopper walls affect it as well?
Yeah, for sure. It affects the component of force. Cool. All right, the granular matter seems really similar, but that change of scale really changes dynamics. Okay. So this is one way of going about granular matter. But as we saw, things start to really slow down when we have to build these composite objects. You can imagine it's even worse in 3D. So there's another way of simulating it. This is the discrete element method. Okay, or DEM. So remember that all of our simulations are based around F equals ma Newton volts, right? So now I'm going to have my M, we can call this dV I dt, for the ith particle. It's going to be the sum of some forces. Obviously, we have gravity in there. Okay. So this is just an external force, most often gravity. Fc here can be our contact force. So this is then the interaction between two particles that are in contact. And this, if we do it in water or if we do it in air, and we are very particular, it could be an interaction between fluid and the particles. So what possible things do you think could go into the contact force here?
Friction.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Yeah, and I'd like to go in there. So things like attraction, or maybe repulsion. Anything else?
I mean, any kind of socket combination effect, but so like geometric effect, whatever, like that.
Yeah, that's complicated, but yeah. So we want to deal with, these are now spherical particles. So we want to remove the composite particle approach and instead do with spherical particles. We have to change how we do our simulations. Cool? Yeah? Anything else in here?
Earlier, so there's definitely something. What is the thing that you're trying to get us to say?
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Okay, so things like recoil. Okay, deformation. Okay, so when we have our particles and we have our conservative forces, when our two particles interact in the equations, right? What can you tell me about that interaction? it's conservative. What's conserved? Anything else? Yeah. Okay. Granular matter interactions do not conserve energy. We have things like friction. Okay. We have recoil and deformation. This does not conserve energy. Cool. Okay. They're dissipative interactions. Okay. I want to go back to single particles. Okay. So I want to get rid of my crosses and go back to single particles. In order to do that, I need to include these forces. Is there anything else I'm missing? Not in terms of these forces we talked about.
Well, the shape of the particle. So if there's an internal shape, it doesn't account for any anisotropy. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We need tensors for the
stress and strain.
Well, we could do that. Yeah, you're right, we could do that. We're not going to do that. But there's something else that we're missing. Think about rocks tumbling down our chute. They tumble down. Pardon me?
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, rotation is a big deal now. That can have a lot of the energy of the particle, and it can influence its dynamics, how it interacts with walls, how it interacts with other particles. Okay, so we also need an equation of motion for the rotational dynamics. And so this
So in this model, our rocks, when they collide with each other, can't account for the fact that they're colliding like this or like this.
what do you mean like this?
So let's say our rocks were actually bricks, right? Then they'll interact very differently if they hit lengthwise than endwise.
So this is the moment of inertia tensor. And it will count for at least some of them.
For the rotation of it, right? But not, so like FIC won't account for the relative orientation.
Not the way I wrote it, but it could. But it's okay. This is like our MA term, and the torque plays a role of the force.
What symbol?
That? Yeah. Capital gamma.
Oh.
Or no. Yeah, capital gamma. Cool. So this is a rotational equivalent or a translational force.
So is that the omega vector?
Yes, thank you.
And those. Wait, so is this a vector equation? Oh,
Yeah.
so I is for each particle.
Yes.
Usually capital gamma.
Yeah, the net torque. So that plays a role of the force or rotational equivalent. Cool. Yeah, it is. That's why we're not going to do it. We only have like half an hour. Okay. But you can see how it's just an extension of the kind of stuff we've been doing. We just have to have a different model, and it's always the right to do the same. Cool. But we can totally build off all the stuff we've done. Or we can download a simulation package. Or you can just look up papers. things. Talk about how granular matter behaves. Cool? So, let's talk about some interesting things about granular matter. One of the interesting things is that granular matter, you can really have it existing in different states. Now I have to remember where all my papers are. Yeah. Okay, we can have granular matter as solids. It's all stuck together, and it's in some equilibrium distribution. Okay, there's all sorts of force balance going on there, but everything is in static equilibrium. Okay, and a nutshell is granular matter acting as a solid. Okay, there's an interesting algorithm here. You can actually, if you're looking at granular matter solids, you can actually use an algorithm called movable cellular automata to study things like fracture formation. I'll separate you two.
Oh, the rock symbol thing.
The rock band.
Right. I was like,
Scarlings are great.
in a nutshell, they're like, what the heck is a nutshell? It's the thing up in,
Yeah.
thing up in like Yellowknife and stuff. Got it.
It can also behave as a liquid, and that's kind of what we've been thinking about this morning, okay? Where we have a flow of particles. But it can also behave as a gas, where these things aren't in constant contact, but instead hit each other periodically. Okay? And so we have a dust. Okay? So we're going to talk about.
You have to couple it with various things.
When you're doing this, does that well? Yes. We're not going to do that either.
When someone says Navier Social, I'll just not be that problem.
I gotta go.
I left my house on fire.
I have some ideal gases to solve.
Well, let's consider something interesting about granular matter solids. What's neat about granular matter solids, if we think about the Inukshuk for real, what's neat about the Inukshuk is that you have what are called force chains. Okay? You have a whole bunch of stuff resting on each other and it's in static equilibrium. But if you look at the forces are not evenly distributed. Okay? Some rocks rest on other rocks to a large degree, and there can be other ones in between in the pockets that essentially have nothing. Yeah, okay. And so you can study these. They're called force chains. So here's a paper that did that. And what they do is they have a system where they have a bunch of grains in here, okay? And then they have a punch. So they're going to bring this down to exert some force on the system. Cool? When they do, they see really complicated networks of force chains that look like this. Okay, where light colors correspond to large forces and dark colors represent small forces. Cool?
Well, I'm colorblind, but that looks green if they say that.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know why they say red. Yeah.
It's definitely red.
Are the nodes, like what are the forces? Those aren't.
Yeah, nodes would be where particles are.
Those are particles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the black space is back.
Pockets. Yeah. Neat, hey? The interactions are totally not not everybody feels the same forces here. Okay, and so then they did some cool stuff to kind of map it out.
So does this kind of analysis hold on a like micro-ish stopping level inside of the materials, like the frame boundaries and stuff?
I would imagine, I don't know. I would imagine I don't know. So one thing is that you need a significant external force here to see this, right? So what kind of external force would we be talking about? If you're talking about stuff like shear forces or strain forces, then yes.
Like if you've got a stainless steel support beam or something, and part of its granular structure is such that you get big pockets that aren't contributing to the strength of the material. And all that.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and you can do that kind of stuff with modeling out particles that have interactions, and then introduce fracture and see what happens with the load bearing capacity. So people totally do that. So you can do that with a discrete element. So this is obviously closely related to like finite elements, right? Except you're building it on particles instead of a mesh. Similar to what we talked about last time, the connection between the particle way of looking at it and the cellular phase wave. Cool. What's neat about this is that it's very hard to do a flow of particles with finite elements. Okay, but you can do that here. Pretty easy. Cool. So anyway, you end up with these neat force chains here, and so here they have a little schematic of how it would look going through the material. Here's some other pretty pictures. Bunch of details, and then this is a nice picture. That's cool. You can see the function. And so here we can see with some blue and green balls, the different lines of force coming off of this. Okay. This also has interesting implications because think about piling a bunch of stuff or letting a bunch of rocks fall out of a hopper onto some kind of surface. And then you want to know, oh, can that surface withstand the weight that all these rocks are putting on? You might be tempted to just average it out, right? Total weight over the areas, the pressure, right? This shows you that that pressure on the bottom plate is not evenly distributed. It depends where the force chains come into contact with the ground. You can totally have a rock sitting there that the stuff around is piled in such a way it has no force on it. And so right underneath that rock, it's just the weight of that rock. Whereas another one could be the determinant of a really long force chain. There's going to be a lot of force there. Okay? So you can't naively assume with granular matter what the distribution of forces underneath your pile of stuff is. It can be really complicated.
In this paper, do they have like a multiple slides of like the punch slowly going down and like seeing like the evolution of those change?
Not that I saw.
Just curious because I think that would be really cool.
Well, this is close. So this is the length, the average length of force chains as a function of the indentation percentage. So as they bring the piston down. And it seems to oscillate. I have no idea what to do with
It starts really high.
It probably comes from before. First.
that. And here's a number of chains versus indentation percentage.
What's indentation?
Just bringing the punch in.
Oh, because it's only in the middle. I see.
That's kind of cool how even when it starts, it has a high number of chains compared to when it finishes. I would have thought that as you punch it down, you create more chains and they break off.
Well, that doesn't account for the difference in force between chain and object.
Right.
So they seem to say that this difference is negligible. And indeed the scale is it changes very slightly. Cool? Okay, so that are force changes that we see in solids. Okay? Let's talk about something, the liquid phase. Okay, and this is the jamming transition. So, you got a bunch of stuff flowing through copper. Okay, and then there's friction interactions between all of this stuff. So what can happen is we can end up with a configuration like this, where the force of everyone pushing on it is distributed across these particles so that they don't pull. Okay? So this is called arching and bolting. And what it also means is that we can have pockets where there's particles, well, yeah, like we just talked about with force. Okay? So now what's neat is that if you have granular matter flowing, you can go from a flowing state to a jam state depending on several different parameters. What do you guys think this could depend on? So in terms of things we can change in the experiment.
How big the hole?
Sure. Yeah,
Push downwards.
yeah, the strength of the force. Okay. Smaller the force, more more likely to be a jam.
So the increased friction between particles.
Yep. Okay, but we're going to leave that alone because that's hard to control on the fly.
Obviously, our pore size is going to make a huge difference in this one.
Yeah, but this is only an example of jam.
Yeah.
Right? But what other universal factors? Force is one parameter.
Rate the particles again. So if it's, in this case, if we had a very wide mouth and the particles were coming in slowly, then only a few particles would reach the mouth at a time. And if something started to build up, it would have time to decay before other particles.
Just say density.
Yeah.
Density. Right? The more dense it is, the more likely to find yourself in jams. Okay. And then if we have granular matter that is acting as a gas or liquid, we can also assign some kind of temperature, right? How much these things are jumping. Cool.
So still without any random term.
Yeah.
So just like the average kinetic energy.
Yep. Okay, so
Do we subtract off the bulk motion?
I think you should, yes. You can come up with, so this is essentially phase transition, so we can come up with phase diagram. Okay, and our coordinates are, this is 1 over volume fraction. Okay, this is that effective temperature. And, no, sorry, this is 1 over volume fraction. This is the effective temperature, and this is, what was the other one?
That's the cross-sectional area of the rocks over the cross-sectional area of the hole.
Should just be the load, should just be the force. That should just be the force. So it's a force, just a normalized force. Cool.
So in their caption, it says they're attractive particles. Unified
Oh.
also too, then, because that would affect a lot.
Yeah, you know what? That isn't the force. That is the strength of the attraction. I think that's what that is. But here, let me show you. So these are some pictures from experiments going between fluid state and the solid state. Okay, so the phase transition from fluid to solid type behavior. And so here is the increased density, so this is flowing, but here we start to form these chains, and then this is chain. Okay? This is as we change the...
moving downward.
Probably. I'm not sure. Directions.
But something like that.
Yeah. Sorry, U is not this internal energy. Sigma is the load, but U is the attraction. Yeah, sigma is the applied stress. So U is the attraction between the particles. So if we increase the attraction, then they change. Okay, as we increase the load, they unjam. Cool. And so that's why we get this type of phase transition. Cool. So when these things are low, we have a jammed state. And then we can go out of a jammed state by increasing them as long as we are at critical values. Cool. So granular matter exhibits novel phase transition. Flowing and changing. That you don't see in other materials. I mean, see this with something with water you got. Here you can just decrease the applied force.
Looking at so with ferrofluids, before they had nanoparticle ferrofluids, they had microparticle ferrofluids. And they tried to use them in car brakes. So
they try to use the car brakes.
yeah, okay. So you would have, or in the steering column, okay, something like that. So basically when you apply the magnetic field, these particles, which were basically magnetic sand particles, right?
Yeah, that was the very specific calculus. What? Sorry, the yeah.
So yeah, basically when you apply magnetic
they
field,
did that
they
on the
become
brakes.
solid.
As you
Because they all
on the
push
brakes,
together.
they apply the magnetic field, and the fluid becomes super thick,
Yeah.
and so it pushes on the brake pad better.
But the other thing they were looking at is put this in like the steering column of your car, because apparently one of the most lethal ways of dying in a car is you're in a head-on collision or something, and it's severe, and the steering column comes up and crushes your chest. But if it's such that the steering column is actually made of liquid, once it's disconnected, then you just get caught in oil. Right. Anyway, things like that, where you can just apply a magnetic field to change solid.
Yep. Oh yeah, another neat thing about this is that the jamming also depends on the hardness of the object. Okay, more if your objects are deformable, then even if they're in a kind of jammed state, they can kind of squish, find a way to get them free. Okay, you get hard spheres, once they're jammed, it's very hard. I saw a really cool demonstration of this one time, where they had red blood cells flowing through, or something, and then they could add something to the solution that would cause protein inside the red blood cells to activate and would cause them to become more rigid. Change the properties of the cytosol. And so, as you added this thing and it became more rigid, you saw the whole chain stop. Okay, and then as the effect wore off, it started to flow again. It became
Sounds like
yeah, but it was really, really neat to watch. The movies are there. I tried to find them, but I couldn't. But it was really neat to watch. Cool. Jamming is a really neat phenomenon. Okay, it's a really good project topic. Okay.
yeah, it's a bit late for that.
So, looking at jamming, let me do some fun videos. Okay, this isn't actually jamming at the bottom there, but now we can see the type of thing Matt was alluding to earlier. So if we have a hopper like this, which material actually gets through first? Okay, we started with horizontal lines. Clearly, the center column is going much faster.
Are particles all identical?
Yes. You think it went?
I just think my B&D was dry if I ever tried to do it.
You could design an awesome control gun that can never jam.
Yeah, we already have electronic hoppers bigger for them. It's already been done.
Okay.
That's really cool how the middle goes before the outside does.
Yeah.
Yeah, look
We
at
did.
those two different sized particles. Two different sized particles, then with big layers.
Yeah, when it piles up, it made cool patterns.
He was just like he started like pattern.
Yeah. That's even worse.
Yeah.
All those tools are currently using magnetic ride, which is using ferrofluids in the springs. Essentially, on Facebook,
That's at the Brazil
all the
one.
cars that are using it in their springs. So their actual damping systems are magnetic.
So let's talk about something in the gas phase. Okay. Who knows what Maxwell is?
We are aware of Maxwell's game.
What?
They think it's funny because they're children.
No. It is a funny, yeah, we heard about it at Stat Back. Anatole told us about it.
He had this
On
really
Halloween.
long story.
It sounds like a funny one.
It was on Halloween, wasn't it?
It was just,
Really confused.
We like didn't know what he was
we
talking
didn't know till
about.
partway, he pronounces it Damon. So we had no clue what he was talking about till like halfway through the story.
And he had a whole story, but like, none of us got it because we didn't understand at the beginning where he was coming from. We were just like, what's going on? So
That's
like,
why you guys laugh.
it's just a funny
Yeah, it
memory.
was a funny memory.
Yeah, we'd never been introduced to it, so he introduced it to us, but we didn't know what he was talking about. And then like a day later, we like searched it up and we were like, oh, it's this. We had no clue.
So what did you find out?
In what way?
What's Maxwell's demon?
It's a guy in a box who can either open or close the door and sort particles.
Let's try to like violate.
Yeah,
So you've got your little demon and you've got a stream of particles at him, coming at him, and he rapidly decides oxygen.
Yeah.
And the proof is essentially that no matter how you build this demon, he's going to end up consuming more entropy, or producing more entropy.
Everybody comfortable with that? Danny comfortable with that? Sure.
Oh yeah, I did.
One person has never taken.
Well, so they call it a demon because back then they were trying to think of some hyper-intelligent machine or whatever entity that was trying to separate out, trying to reduce the entropy of the set of particles by that, right? And they basically, so they concocted this scenario where there was something, which they called the demon, that was pulling out oxygen to decrease the entropy of the system because that would violate the second law. And then they did some proofs that basically, and no matter how that demon existed, no matter what it was made of, it would end up increasing its own entropy more than it would decrease the entropy. Gotcha.
So yeah, he basically, demon sits there looking and particles fly towards his magic door. Oxygen, he opens it. Okay. So this isn't what happens, and instead, usually what we expect, we have a bunch of particles, and the energy is the same everywhere. What do we expect?
Concentration gradient, but
Yeah, you have the same probability of finding a particle everywhere. Right? Ultimately. Change in energy 0, and e to the 0 is 1. This is something a lot of them like to say e to the 0 is 0.
That's one.
So consider having a system where we have a bunch of little boxes, okay? And we have a bunch of particles in our system, and we're exciting the system so that those particles can jump around, and they can jump between boxes, okay? Now, if this was a nanoscopic system, what would you expect?
Basically, if we had a bunch of different particles and some temperature giving them thermal fluctuations, I would expect the distribution of them to just follow the energy that we have. So very small particles will be found kind of higher up, but kind of
All the same size particles.
oh, they're all the same. Okay. Can we just follow both in distribution going upwards, kind of, right?
Yeah, so don't worry about gravity or
Yeah, they just have to bounce around. Oh,
the table's like this, and we move it up and down. Okay.
so you have a box and one wall inside.
So you have a box, so you have a big box with lots of little box compartments. Okay? Got particles scattered throughout this, and you're exciting it from both.
Oh, I see. So eventually, probably expect all the particles.
Yeah, but pretty much each particle should have the same number. Each box should have the same number of particles. Should be evenly distributed. Fair enough?
Can you draw what you're talking about? Quickly. I can't picture this box.
Okay, so it's a system like this. Okay, but then this is partitioned into a bunch of different things like this.
and we're just taking the ball.
Little particles in here. Okay, and we're exciting it from below. Shaking it up.
They can bounce up into another square.
Oh, they can bounce up. I see.
Get to a new square and then
Sometimes, not all the
bounce
time.
up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just a whole bunch of escape.
Any
routes.
opinions on what's going to happen at the granular? Same thing?
No, if we have a whole bunch of particles in the same square, we should start running issues because they're going to act as like one. Well, depending on the thing, like the fluidity of them, they're going to act like one object.
We're in the gas phase.
Okay.
We're not going to get like jammed.
I think the gas things we should. Friction.
Good question. Skip the testing.
Because now we're at one, would that prevent them? Would that require more sticky to cash?
So on average, there'll be fluctuation. Okay, but you expect to find all the particles in one cell.
Not in the gas.
Seems unlikely, right?
Roughly.
Okay.
What are those? Are those like beads?
Yep.
They're going together. Okay, that's for the.
CA.
They're just playing the video.
You're all YouTube reverser. There's trickery.
What happened at the end?
So, what do you think about that?
friction of the cluster will have one.
Are you close?
Because I was trying to get to where, like, when you say gas housing, they're more spread apart, but when they're closer together, when you apply kind of force them, because of the friction, they're going to kind of stick together. So you apply a larger
What does
force.
friction do? Kind of forces friction. Conservative force.
No, it conserves, so it dampens it.
You lose energy.
So the more than you have, the more energy you lose
Yeah.
every time force
They
comes up.
hit each other. Lose energy.
And every time a new one comes in, it
Okay,
affects
because
the
it's not energy conserving, you can actually have a granular maximum. Someone is sitting in the box. Yeah, this box. Come on in. The other boxes end up empty. Cool, eh? Granular matter is pretty different.
You have to depend on the depth of the like small box.
Yeah, you can make them 3 stories high.
Yeah.
Smooth triangle
Well, it also
everywhere.
seems like if you could get the box full enough, then whoever's on top doesn't have much of a barrier to jump at it. So there's probably like, I think there's a room.
You can just raise the walls down.
Cool. Let's talk about one more cool effect in granular matter. Anyone ever heard of the Brazil nut effect?
Yeah.
What?
Didn't you
No.
talk about it at the talk?
Talk about it at the top.
That guy, he was like, you go to the bar and bet people that the Brazil nut will be on top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I remember Dan commenting on it. He's like, it only works if the nuts are different sizes. And I was like, yeah.
That's the point.
Oh yeah, we have experts in the room. What's the Brazil nut effect? What was it?
Basically, that the largest type of nut will be at the top if you shake it.
It comes from having like a jar of mixed nuts or a pack of mixed nuts. You shake it up and down, start to notice. Brazil nut.
No one wants it.
What is a Brazil nut?
They're giant and not good.
Yeah, like I
They're quite radioactive.
Very
The radioactive.
They have a high concentration.
So well, no, if you really
They're kind of like bananas.
But that's just like aggregated like sifting, where the smallest particles are going to find their way to the bottom because they can kind of filter their way through, leaving the biggest ones at the top.
Yeah, in other words, it's a granular matter effect.
Actually, what's the difference between a Brazil nut and a macadamia nut?
But they look totally different.
They're from 2 different.
Yes.
One's from the country of
Macadamia nuts
macadamia,
inside.
and one's from the country of Brazil. Come on.
Like, look up each of them, and you will immediately see.
So what's going on here? So it's another granular matter effect. Okay? And what happens is that when you, let's say you have a collection of particles, and you shake them up and down. Okay? What happens is that particles in the middle will tend to move up. Particles at the sides tend to move down. So you basically establish convection patterns within your granular pattern. Because of the walls. Okay? So when you get to the top, you know, you've got to the top, here you are, no one stays at the top forever, right? You're going to fall down to these cracks here. And so, easiest picture is that it's like the mortgage crisis in the States, too big to fail. Okay? They're too big to fall down the side, and so they just stay. Okay? The effect is much more involved. Turns out to depend on a whole bunch of things. Even like the density of the air, all sorts of stuff. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Also.
Well,
But this is the basic idea. Okay? And so let's just see if we can get this.
Somebody has shaken a jar of nuts in a vacuum check.
Well, that's actually why we reinitialized going to space.
What you doing? You know, science.
Okay? So we have a big particle. Well, that was terrible. Big particle and a whole bunch of little particles. We're shaking it up and down, and sure enough, the big one is rising to the top.
That's really cool.
Cool. So there's actually a whole bunch on here. So
Yeah.
This is different though, isn't it?
Yeah.
This has a lot of momentum.
Which side is pushing?
Even then, it still works under that conditions like.
So it's in the middle.
back one step.
University of 20.
Are shaped and form with granular gas. All flags contain into two parts.
Yeah.
At vigorous shaking, the beads spread out as in any ordinary gas. But when the shaking strength is reduced below a critical level, they cluster together. In every collision, they dissipate energy, slowing each other down, thus clustering into the compartment where the particle mass is already larger. Is the same true for a bi-dispersed mixture of large and small beads? We prepare an initial state with the majority of large blue beads in the left box and most of the smaller red ones in the right box. At strong shaking, they are distributed uniformly. At moderate shaking, starting from the same initial state, they cluster towards the larger total particle mass, just as expected. This takes 40 seconds. We set up a model illustrated by this flow diagram that shows how the contents of the right-hand box evolve in time. For any initial condition in the yellow region, including ours, the right-hand box is emptied. The particles cluster in the left box. But then comes a surprise. When shaking is reduced even further, the boundary between the yellow and blue regime shifts. The same initial condition now lies in the middle basin of attraction and leads to a cluster in the right box. This is indeed seen in experiment. At this mild shaking, the large beads stay close to the bottom. On top of them, the smaller bead jumps higher than on the play floor, like a tennis ball on top of a basketball. So the small ones preferentially go into the right-hand box. Once they're left, the large beads become more mobile too and follow one by one. After 5 minutes, the process is complete, in quantitative agreement with the model prediction.
This guy really likes his job.
Yeah.
When tuning the shaking strength, the clustering can be directed. We can let the large beads win, but also the small ones. The effect is robust enough to work also for candy.
The ultimate test of robustness.
It's the experiment.
This works so well. You can sort M&Ms.
And then he
Wasn't a fly.
Wow.
That was an awesome video. This takes 40 seconds.
It's so ominous. Like, then comes the surprise.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. What could be an application of that?
Sorting.
Sorting technique. One. There's actually a lot of industrial applications, right? You can sort things just by shaking them. That's pretty awesome. Okay, you got a bunch of stuff coming out of your machines. You want to sort them, shake them out of, you know what frequency to shake them, so the big ones go here and the small ones go there.
I think I've seen that.
Pardon me?
I'm pretty sure.
No, yeah, like, seen it on what?
How it's made.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sure it's
Yeah.
how it's made.
So
Short,
there's a
we're
similar
doing
effect
sorting by
in,
shape.
Parables,
So this method is shape.
where you
Okay.
can, I don't remember exactly how it works, but if you have some kind of granular matter that you want to separate, I think they were looking at it for like ore in gold, for instance.
Okay.
You can sort it out, but there's some reason that you can't just use this. They call it fluidization, I think.
Okay.
So you can't just use this, so you apply an alternating magnetic field to introduce additional fluidization. So, and then you get this kind of property where the gold part is at the bottom.
Okay. Cool. So that's granular matter. Okay. It's cool stuff. So it's very similar, but the changes